Hey guys, I thought I was going to be busier tonight later, but it ended up getting done. So thought I'd do this. Last time I did a live stream, I said I'd try to do another one, but why I was still at the cabin and I ran out of time. Yeah, time goes by a lot faster. And also, to be honest with you, I do need help. Um, it's funny, YouTube kind of goes through phases. And for a while, I'll get monetization on videos without much kickback. And then it'll go through a phase for a couple of weeks where every video just does not get ad revenue. And that's kind of where we're at now. The Kalashnikov USA video that is doing pretty good, at least by my standards. I've made like $6 on because it wasn't, yeah. And there's no sense even trying to figure out why something is or is not monetized. I've even had them where they will be monetized for weeks or months and then get janked. So I don't know. But, you know, all I can do is keep on keeping oning and try to go with how things are. Not like I have the option to go over to TikTok because they're completely against guns over there. As bad as YouTube is sometimes perceived to be, they're better than honestly a lot of the other streaming services. As much as that might sound odd. So if anyone wants to pitch in and help, that would be greatly appreciated. We have about another month where we can be shooting out here before hunting season knocks in, deer hunting, whitetail. And I try not to do much shooting in November just to make the hunters happy. Um, it's a little funny that all the RTVs, four wheelers, side by sides, whatever, rolling around the mountains aren't perceived to scare off the deer, yet shooting guns does. But either way, it's not about the objective reality. It's about being friendly with the neighbors. So yeah, I can do that. So I'm gonna see what's in the chat. I figured not many folks are probably here yet just because this was not planned even by me. But figured I had a hour and a half I could devote here, and even though it's been hot and not even warm, just hot for the first week in October, starting at about 7:38 out here on the porch, it started to get pretty nice. So I kind of wanted to sit outside. So let's see, get it. The first comment's from Observer One. Whoa, whoa. There we go. And then yeah, he says he's wanting to get a 5.56 223 Baril. Yeah, pretty much. They're like I said in the Baril video, the problem is they're only making the Barils really for Arms of America, and it's not really worth their time and effort. Plus, people don't really like the prices of Barils now, and the next import batch should probably be more expensive because of the exchange rate. It just doesn't make sense. If some American importer business would order 5, 10,000, yeah, they'd probably still do it, but they're not going to sell 5 or 10,000, not in this AK market. So I don't blame Arms of America one bit. It's only logical. Sierra, yo. As far as the 7.62 39 Baril, they're fun. I mean, it's a little more standard of an AK, but It might. Who knows the future? I think the 5.56 will be the one that people gravitate towards because of the military service. But the 7.6239 might end up being the rarest of the bunch. Hard to say, but that doesn't always translate into worth value. I mean, the Korean Daewoo DR 300 is probably rarer than others, and it's not worth any more money. But it could be. Brian Hess. And yeah, he's right. Yeah, and not just barrels, but just man, if imports are at a good price, if you're paying the price that's close to what the importer's paying, which is usually primary market, just really get it if you want it. I mean, if you don't worry about it. Don't buy something you don't want. That's silly. But if you always thought, hey, it'd be nice to have a Brin or a barrel or a Beretta, we're going with B's tonight. Do it. Look at the Beretta ARX 100s. They got cheap. Now that's the one thing I will say. Don't worry about getting an import right when they very first come in because they do tend to be expensive. But still try to get it while they're being imported. Tusk. Yeah, and he's right. The 5.56 are, but at the same time they are out there. Observer one again. Man, what I'm telling you is the AK market. It dead. It's a very slow AK market, and the Brill's always been. There are some guns that look really cool online on paper, and there are other guns that you don't really appreciate just how nice they are until you own and shoot them. And the Barrel is one of those guns. It's just the proof's in the pudding. And Sierra. Yeah, Pioneer Arms. I was actually going to record a video last time, but Fox forgot to bring his out, and without his gun, we will. I mean, there's not some amazing story there. It's pretty straightforward, and yeah, but we will do a video much like I did with the KUSA. Hopefully, it will get monetized. And then again, if anyone can make some donations, that would be greatly appreciated because the last couple of videos just got demonetized, and it sucks. I actually like the side folding classic burials. You even can see some combat photos of burials where soldiers stuck a fire poker side folding stock on them. I'm not gonna say they were like official military, but there are images out there. There's even a couple images where they put Romanian forearms, Romanian dongs on them. Skinwalker Hidden Valley Ranch. Man, I don't know that Poland's really done with this. There are concerted efforts to make the semi-automatic Grot get over here. I think it's just the Breel is outdated technology. It's going to be a 30-year-old gun very soon. And back to Observer. Yeah, you'll be happy you put that Breel. Sierra. Yeah, WVP is still doing well. In fact, they not only are keeping on, they are planning some new stuff for this last quarter of the year. So stay tuned. WBP is definitely not giving up on us. Not right now, anyway. Skinwalker. Yeah, 5.56 Segas are neat. When the Segas started coming in, I bought a 308 kind of for the same reason that they sold that really quick, and it ended up being a really nice one. Taylor. Yeah, will this slow down the AK market? You would think so, but here's the thing: I'm afraid if it was really gonna happen, at least on the primary level, it would have, from importers. Now, on the secondary market, I think you will. But the fact of the matter is, the exchange rate is just kind of boning all the importers. So no one's gonna lower the price and not make at least some money. There's just not a lot of meat on that bone. Banhammer. Yeah, we've done a video on Baril versus the Zastava. I presume you mean the M90. Both are good, solid guns, but I take the Baril. It's a battle-tested gun. It has a little more of a track record. It's hard to argue with the quality FB Radams barrels for accuracy, longevity. It's just a solid gun. Nothing against the Zastava. They're actually a nice gun too. But you've got two good 223 caliber AKs. Will Chagrin. Yeah, getting flooded will delay transfers. That is for sure. Skinwalker. Yeah, the 308 Vepers and the 7.62 are, although I think the 308, because they take their own mags, they take their own internal parts. They're not really a military gun as such, so that kind of dings them. They're not to say they're bad rifles, but yeah. Observer 1. Oh, cool. Yeah, we did a video back in May with the flat sided, the slab sided, the flat jack, uh, nitrided. It's nothing special, but that's not a bad thing. It kind of reminds me of a lot of the early. It's just a solid AK. It really is. In fact, I actually picked up a single stack Mod E, a Misser 10 yesterday. It's something I was going to talk about in this video. It was a little gun pickup I made, 15, 20 guns. I would love to just show them to you on this live stream. But again, YouTube, I don't want the live stream to get canceled. So sorry, guys, that we can't throw guns on live streams. Of course, there's a little bit of a legitimate reason for that, with people threatening to do things or even doing things that are adverse to life and no one should ever do on here. And so, sad situation. Sierra, man, I'm gonna disagree with you. I think Poland has a bigger presence than Romania. Man, you are not seeing many Wassers come in. Meanwhile, WBP is still knocking it out. I think Poland has a bigger slice of the AK market. Of course, I think Zastava is the real king of imports right now. Brown coat nerd. Firefly? Man, there's always been weird haters with WBP, and I couldn't tell you why. Don't worry about it. What I would say about WBP is talk to owners. That's my best advice. Talk to the people who actually. There's just a lot of weird misinformation out there. I know misinformation in 2024 on the internet. Shocker. Taylor Mullis. Makes sense. Tuska. Tool song. Yes. I would play Tool right now, except again, I'd get shut down because rules. But I actually do have uh, like their albums on this computer. Will, what? I gotta read this one here. I have no fucking clue if a AK Spiker will fit a Chinese SKSD. I would hazard no, because they're different guns, and one way or the other, the barrel is going to be too thick, too thin, something, because they are different. Could be incredibly wrong. I did get a Chinese SKS in that haul of guns. Nothing special, just your average Chinese SKS. Skinwalker. Yeah, I mean, I really like the Wassers. It's just everyone, every time it has a season, the Wasser season, unless they come out with something new, it just, I don't know. What do I own now? I sold one or two in the last couple of years. I sold one during the sell off for the cabin. I think I sold one during the COVID situation. I still have, of course, my SAR1, my SAR2. I've got my Wasser 10 underfolder. Got the Wasser 10 KR. I think that's it. I still have, of course, an AES 10B. I had two. I just have one. Sold one of those off. So I think those are the five I have. Although only two are technically Wassers. Sierra. It's not imported. That's bullshit. I'll just speak. I'm not even gonna equivocate. It's bullshit. They are literally talking out their arse. Cool, brown coat. Yeah, yeah. You might have noticed if you've ever visited my personal channel. I really love sci-fi. In fact, out here at the cabin, I brought. I'd love to do airplane reviews out here, but there's no real way to transport one that I can think of yet. So I've been bringing out things I can put in those like little craft, sectional plastic bins. And so I brought out some Star Trek stuff and whatnot to do some personal channel videos. I got out of here yesterday. I was only planning to be out here maybe a weekend, but that trip might get extended to be determined. Dusk. Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many WBPs have I had over the years? I mean, I'll be straight with you. I mean, that one that we had to fix for a customer years ago, Jay and I, we made a whole video about troubleshooting it. That's the only WBP that required some work. And you know what? What it ended up being was a crimped top cover. And when I talked to AOA, they sent me a replacement top cover for him and the new recoil spring and guide just in case it got bent. So he put those on and sent it to the customer after test firing it, and presumably it worked well for him because they didn't hear anything back. I mean, everyone's going to have it, but I don't know. I think some people are just bored. They just really are. And some people just like stirring the pot online. Keep in mind, some people know they're spewing bullshit. They just do it to get a rise out of folks. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't do a little bit of that in my younger days too. Because it's kind of fun when you're young to get people all hot and bothered over nothing. Ramir, I'm not sure what you got there. Yeah, this isn't a selling forum. Be careful. YouTube gets all cranky. Valmet 223s are neat. Yeah, there's all kinds of variations, fixed folders. We've covered in the past. Sierra. Yeah, the newest gun I can say, Sierra, is that Arsenal SAM 5 SF, the one they just released with the left side selector. That's the newest, and that's just, a variant, a rechambering of a classic, which isn't a bad thing. But the problem, the fucking price, they are crazy, like 2,400. Taylor, Star Trek series in order best to worst. I'll answer that if you'll make a donation. Fair? I'm hurting, guys. I'm not lying because I went from making, pretty good money on the last three videos to nothing, and it's you could tell we did our taxes also. And when you own a small business, tax season is, hey, pay the government money season. Yeah, yeah, I'll rank them. Will, yeah, I mean, now wait, the SKSD was not a band gun. Maybe you have an SKSS or an SKSM. Those are the banned ones. The Ds were actually pre-banned on the detachable max. Skinwalker. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Skin. I don't. I like WBP, but it's not the same thing as like original parts, for sure. And I know what you mean about thrashed parts kits, or what I really hate, even more than beat to shit parts kits, are pieced together parts kits. Like, oh, this rear stark and trunnion came from this Romanian, and the front trunnion came from Polish, and the front sight looks suspiciously Bulgarian. God, I hate those. Detective John Kimball. Yeah, I don't. The whole, to some extent, I believe the warehouse thing because when you run a big business, shit really does slip behind the warehouse. On the other hand, it's Arsenal, or rather Kavar. I think Kavar is really the main culprit of the warehouse thing. Yeah, but they don't do themselves any favor by not being transparent with their customers. If they would just be straight and honest, I would love it if Arsenal communicated and had customer service like Palmetto State, or vice versa. Palmetto State made rifles like Arsenal. Uh, Sign me up for either of those situations. Taylor. All right, I'll take a rain check on it. But if not, I'm gonna send Neelix after you. Not to hit on, to like do a hit. Just like to hang out at your house and cook for you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna think on that. I will answer, and when there's a lull in the chat, I'll answer the question, or when I get up to take a drink. There's also a chance of drinking tonight if we get into that. I got a fresh bottle of vodka in there, and thought about cracking her open. Red Fire. Yes. My camera's not actually off. I'm out on a porch at night. WVP, well, commercial grade in what sense? I mean, they're fine, and they were a commercial company, but they have had law enforcement and even military contracts now. So, yeah, but of course, the reason they got those military contracts, Egypt comes to mind, is because they're one of the few makers of AKM parts in 2024 or whenever. Most factories no longer make an AK. Brown coat. Man, come on. Asking me about the Vis 100. I'm one of the people that really does. I put out a video just a month ago on them. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest handgun ever. It's not, but I enjoy it more than I have any right to. I just kind of like the gun. It's all metal, but it's extremely lightweight. It's reliable. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you this is why I like the Vis 100. I just do. So, yeah, Sierra. SKS is really a variable. Uh, excluding the really rare ones, like Russians bring pretty good now. I would say 1,000 and up for a nice looking Russian. Commercial Chinese tend to go, and by commercial I just mean ones that aren't provably CNR. So they could be military, but if you can't prove they're in the like 600 to 800 range. You kind of again based on condition and variation. Yugos are about the same from what I've seen. Um, there are some rare ones like the Romanians are pretty valuable just because you don't run across them much. And I have no idea on Albanians because it's been a long time and you just don't find, say, East German, North Korean. I've seen like one North Korean in my life and two East Germans, so, and whatnot. Will LaRoche. I get you. So someone cut up the SKSD. I mean, again, my answer still remains. I don't know if parts meant for a Type 56 AK will fit a Type 56 style SKSD. I mean, yeah, try and find out. I don't know, unfortunately. Skinwalker. Oh, the SSR 85Cs. Those were. Interesting. They uh, they were built in Bulgaria on tooling purchased by Global or Arsenal USA, that group, for a company in Bulgaria. So they were technically Bulgarian receivers sometimes, although there were versions put together here when the receivers were brought over. You would see Hungarian kits, Bulgarian kits. They weren't bad, but they were. It was just weird having a stamped receiver, especially a 1.5 mil, but not an RPK 1.5. Oh no, no, no! It's like someone just made an AKM receiver but thicker. I don't. They were a thing. You had to be there, I guess. They were a thing. I'll tell one story before I move on. The first time I ordered one, it just said, SSR 85 Bulgarian AK. I ordered it in. This is when they first came out. Opened the box and I'm like, what the fuck? Because the word hadn't gotten out yet, so I was literally surprised by that one. Scott 79. Oh, K-Bears are an MSR FIME group. It's all a thing. If you all look, they're all part of FIME group, and he owns, I think, I forget how many companies he actually owns. A lot, dozens upon dozens of companies. Like you said, money ain't a problem for him. I will say this: he's been on a personal level nice to me because I met him eons ago. He doesn't remember me. This was 20 some odd years ago, but he was nice to me. So I always like to tell people about that. But I also know that maybe not everyone says that. Skinwalker. Yes, they were very strange guns. Detective John. I think I do have one unopened box of chicken and a biscuit out here too. I think I might do. Thank you, Tusk. See, this justifies it to the wife. She's like, "Why the hell do you do that?" Well, I like it. It's the real reason. But yeah, if I can show her a pay stub, it really does help with the whole marital situation. Yeah. I don't, on Riley, you're right. They make a big whoomp in the market, and then I just don't know if they have the production capacity. Like, you don't need a company that makes too many guns, but you do need a company that can deliver a small but constant, consistent supply. And Riley just doesn't seem to be that. Um, it's hard for me to say because I just never really am able to get hands on them. Someone had offered me one a couple of years ago, and I didn't take it as a loaner because I didn't know where I was shooting back then. It's kind of touch and go, guys. After Jay, went off to other things, and I was bouncing around. Now that I've got the cabin up and running, I am more willing to do those loaners and T&Es because now I can say, yeah, I can get to your gun. I can shoot it. If not this week, next week. But there was a while when I was kind of borrowing space and time at other people's shooting areas, and it didn't always work out. So maybe one day, especially if ammo gets a little easier, I'll try to nab one of those. Hey, I did find a little bit of 545 more in the storage the other day. Scott 79. Oh yeah, no, no, no. You're right on the commercial. It was never state owned. WBP was never like a com block war factory. Absolutely not. But then again, a lot of the ARs that are really good are the same way. It's like a good AR maker in America. Um, I don't know, but one that earned their way on the commercial side that still makes a good gun. Take your pick. There's quite a few of them. Sierra. Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't exactly forget Rally exists, but they might be being smart, guys. Hey, if they're making money, but still kind of keeping it low key and keeping the fuzz off of them, keeping the heat off, they might have hit that golden ticket. I mean, I'm not knocking them. Don't overdo it. Don't outspend, don't out advertise, just make guns, and they may be doing well, but I don't know what their finances look like. Brown coat. Oh yeah, I've watched Strange New Worlds in the lower decks. Like I said, I really will rank them here in a bit. I usually get up, stretch my legs a bit, and then can't read the chat while doing that. But yeah, lower decks I generally liked it. It had some times, but it got better. Strange New Worlds. I'm gonna say I liked season one a little more than season two. I think the problem with Strange New Worlds is you only get 10 episodes every like 2 years, and if you're gonna do an episodic type deal, we need more shows, guys. Maybe at like 26, like we used to get, but 15, 18 every year. Eh. Will, old lady, I've got my laundry going too. I needed to wash some bath mats and towels earlier today. I did some dishes. It's been out the cabin. The only good news is it's just me and Miss P at the cat, so we don't make too much of a mess. Scotty, I'm dreaded your. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to know. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Sam Sevens. They're very solid guns. I'd have to know more about your Sega. Matt Morrison. I mean, you can put it on a Rob Arms Vepper if you want. I don't. I mean, if you wanted it on there, sure, why not? I uh, I don't think doing one or the other would hurt it. I don't think there's going to be huge collector differences. A Vepper is a Vepper is a Vepper, and as long as you, the only time I see it go against is when someone just does a hack job or uses really shit parts. But good part, good gun. If it makes you happy, why not? Scotty. No, I got you, Scotty. No worries. Sierra, I don't think Riley's are like IOs. I really don't. I would say maybe just PSA quality with slight edge. It's hard to get an angle on PSA guns. You'll think, oh, they've got all their crap worked out, and then you'll hear reports of this or that, and then they'll be good again for a while. And I haven't heard any huge reports on Riley, but again, they have such a low footprint in the market. I could just be mistaken. Detective John. Yeah, the 22-hour barrels. They were approved. They could have done. You know what? They wanted the exact same money for those as a 223 barrel, which meant they would have had to have sold them for essentially the same. Come on, be realistic. No one in America is paying that money for a 22 when they can get a 223. Even if they made the cost like $100 or 200 cheaper just to say they did it, yeah, I don't blame them. And of course, this is after 22 LR went up in price over the last few years. John Wick, when will I get oiled up? How do you know I'm not already? Well, you said you sold your Riley to put it towards the SGL 31. Did you ever get that SGL 31? And if so, what'd you think after shooting them back to back? Was the Russian hugely better or me? Skinwalker. Yeah, exactly. I've been finding quite a bit of just, nothing huge, but a box here, a box there in storage that makes me happy. I found some 7 mil Mauser the other day. Squatty. Yeah, Sega's so much of their value and worth is on the conversion, and caliber matters a lot too. It's really hard to say on Sega's. It really is. John Wick. I appreciate it, John. I'm really trying. I really am. It's just, again, I'm gonna be honest. Got when YouTube, they actually not just demonetized the recent co DOE video, they age restricted it, and I don't know why. There's nothing in it abnormal or weird. I don't know. And it did, frankly, demoralize me last night. In fact, I think the reason I didn't record any shooting videos today, I was just like, what's the point? And then they didn't allow videos on the Vepr 12 shotgun video that I've got made and upcoming. There's literally no high cap mags in there. I don't know what it could have been. It's one thing if I slip up and put something in that I know they don't like, but sometimes it just feels super arbitrary. And you work for hours, days, even sometimes weeks on making a video, and then not to get anything from it, and not to even get them go, okay, we're not monetizing it, but here's why. At 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you do this. Cool, I won't do that again, or I'll cut that section out. But just the whole leaving you in the dark thing, it sucks. It just, you're riding high. You think you did really good on videos, output's going well, and then it happens, and sometimes I just need to take a day and collect my thoughts and get on with things. I'm not. You can probably knock me down, but I'm kind of hard to knock out. I'm too goddamn stubborn and hard headed for that. So every dollar you donate tonight is an FU towards the gun restrictors. So keep that in mind. Yeah, we'll go with that. Skinwalker. Yeah, you're not wrong. A really nice Sam 7, I think, has nicer QC than a Sega. I think Segas are more consistent. And even then, Sam 7s, it's usually just superficial stuff. It's not like they have bad QC where they won't run. It's just some of them have nicer paint, nicer roll markings, more straight sights. They are military production guns, so. Matt Morrison. Sure, Matt. And for Johnny. Yeah, I mean, on the Swiss SIGs, there are some 751 SOCOMs coming. There's some PE90s coming. There are some more 551s coming. I feel like I'm forgetting one other. And they swear up and down they'll be here in November. We'll see. That's about all I know that'll be here before the end of this year. As far as with Dave, I think he and I both have just been are doing our own things. And the reason I did those interviews in person with him was I was driving down to pick up guns, and there just haven't been a large enough shipment come in to warrant the trip down. He's not too far from me, about 6 hours, seven at most, and yeah, six, 5.5, 6. But it's also not close enough where I can just pop down there for say 10 guns. Like we usually picked up at least 2 dozen, and he's been busy too. He's been going off doing his thing, and I've been doing my thing out here. So, but just to be fair, I've invited him several times to come stay at the cabin. Again, he could head up here and Friday at noon and be here by supper time, and we could grill steaks. And he's actually owns an import company of bourbon whiskey, and he could bring some whiskey. I could bring some steaks, and yeah, Scott. Yeah, I don't know. Crinks are hard. Even if it's garbage, I'm gonna give them a little bit of sympathy. It is hard to do a crink right. That's why I was so big on the Arsenal SLR 104 UR. Jean Wick C39 AK. I mean, it's a century. I the receivers are the weak point of the C39 from Century. They're basically investment cast receivers, and long term durability is questionable. Jake, my thoughts on the SIG 516? Not very many. It's a SIG USA, AR-15 type. I mean, quality seems fine. Um, it also doesn't do a whole lot to just jump right out at me and go, "Well, that's neat and unique." And I know that's ironic considering I just posted the video on the SIG MCX, but hey, I never said it was 100% consistent, right? I'm a human too. Or am I? Tusk. Wait, your lady makes you go below decks on Bravo. That sounds like code for something. Scott 79. Yeah, the SGOs are nice. I mean, they were price fair for when they came in. Anyone who knew the AK market, anyone who knew the import game, anyone who knew freaking history knew that, yeah, pick this up because getting Russian AKs, even in slightly neutered form, was not even a small miracle. It was at least a moderate miracle. Whoever made that happen probably should be eligible for canonization as a Catholic saint upon their death because it was a pretty big thing to make happen. But unfortunately, it was always going to end one way or the other. Sierra. Yeah, that Chinese. A lot of those Chinese guns, I mean, like even like a Type 81. Yeah, Skinwalker. Yep, Chinese guns. Yeah, yeah. It's a shame that some of those Canadian guns, once they changed their laws, couldn't come down here. But yeah, brown coat. It's funny you mentioned the early handguards. I tried to reach out to Marcomar to get one, to even buy one, and they said sure, but then I kept trying to get them on the phone and kept playing phone tag, and it never happened. I like to get one of them just to say I have it. I mean, it's pretty obvious why they went to the two piece style, but it's kind of obvious why they tried the other one. I think their history's there. A lot of those early set me changes kind of get overlooked, like the changing in the sights, the different scope mounts on top, and that's the kind of stuff I get off on. Just little changes. Heck, even look at the early changes to the 308, the 762, either set me or 762 NATO models and A's, B's, and C's. The early like kind of Mauser inspired rear sight is really cool to me. So I just like that kind of stuff. Imple Johnny. You're welcome. Sierra. Yeah, I mean, the problem with making things here in America, it's just so expensive to make parts and then try to make a money at it at pretty low rate production. Yeah, I'm good for money stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty domestic. Before I got married, I lived alone for 10 years, so I was gonna cook tonight, but then a family member dropped off some food, so I'm being lazy with takeout. But I also don't mind cooking. In fact, I like doing cooking. As far as laundry, it's easy enough. I've lived in places where I didn't have a washer dryer and had to wash clothes in the bathtub and stuff and hang them to dry wherever. So compared to that, oh yeah, machines are awesome. Love it, love it. Squat 79. Do you have a 106? You are started off as a pistol or started off as a carbine? Sierra. What's sad is companies like Century have really ruined the name of investment casting. I mean, investment castings are used in aircraft and on battleships. Investment casting is fine if done properly. And yeah, Ruger they really pioneered in firearms, and they're great. I mean, all your Springfield M1A receivers are cast. No troubles with those, at least no more than anything, because I've heard of forged M1 and M14 receivers cracking at the heel. It just happens. But yeah, good casting is a good casting, but that's not what Century's about. They're about the money. Is it more for them, less for you? Yeah, you're not wrong. If Raleigh uses a lot of PSA parts, that's not inherently bad. It's just they need that QC and testing and a little more care and effort. JTL. The 649, the piston. Uh, they're neat. I don't really get a huge hard on for Colts like Chris does, but they're neat. But it's also not something really ever used by anyone outside of maybe a police department here or there. It's hard to get excited about Colt because they're just so far behind the times. I have so many other quality piston 223 guns now that it just kind of joins the ranks of the mini. That said, it is Colt, so I would trust its long term durability for the most part. So that's cool. But also keep in mind it does use proprietary parts, so that may or may not matter to some. Detective John. I've never seen a gun in my life, John. No, yeah, there's only a couple of Type 89S's or Type 81S's, excuse me, in America. I mean, they're kind of up there with like the Type 88S, the 55, excuse me, the 545. They're just a tiny handful. Vlad Outdoors. I mean, the R guns kits were like other Russian kits. So, what do you want to know? I mean, they were cut up Russian guns. Sierra. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too about the set me out. I'm not only happy we got the kits, but someone good built them. It's just a unique 80s gun, and Mark Omar brought them to market cheap enough that you can just have them as a fun gun, and they are fun. They shoot in a way unlike most other guns. Would it ever be my primary home defense gun? No, not because it's not reliable. It's just why it's very 80s. Just like if you gave me a choice between an AUG A1 or an AUG A3, being practical, yeah, A3 is better. But sometimes I really like my A1 just for old timey sake. Scott 79. Yeah, cool. I was hoping. Yeah, I tend to like the SLR 106 UR pistols more than the UR carbines. So good, good, good. Tusk. The Century know what TDP is. Yeah, they probably just don't care. Scott 79. Well, I mean, they don't like honoring their warranties because they really don't have warranties. Not really. It's more of a theory than a practice. Yeah, I've had 6.944s and 6.943s. They're pretty cool. I like the little shorties. Hey, Bingo. I think I got an email from you and haven't answered yet. What'll happen to me out here is I'll be in the middle of emails. I'll read one and someone will pull up or something will happen and then I forget. Getting old, man. How's Houston treating you? I remember that from your email. I don't know if they're still good down there, but back in the day, I picked up some pretty neat guns down at Collector's Firearms. JTL. Brown coat. Nope, exactly. It's fun, and I wouldn't spend 2 grand on one, but for not much more than $1,000 for your base model, why not? Hey, bingo. Exactly. Likely, but you believe me. It's probably cooling off this evening out here. I actually stayed indoors at the cabin most of the day today for the first time I've been out since I come out. It was so hot and yeah out, and I was like, I just don't feel like it. Sierra, yeah, their import mark situation fluctuates. Sometimes it really is. It really is commensurate with how much they care. Like more valuable guns, they do better on. Bulk Mosin Nagants. Nah. Hey, bingo. See, when I was there years ago, and it's been over a decade since I was there in person, and probably a good. Well, no, I got my Hellion from them when they very first came out. And they were good then, but there were still a couple of old timers back then working. But people you need to change over if the young people are willing to learn. But yeah, I got my Walther P4 there, and they had a baby Nambu that I almost bought. I got a Johnson 1941 there, French 35A, that Hellion. Yeah, I've bought a goodly number of guns from them over the years, and they're pretty negotiable. Brandon, how's things in Canadias? Scott, collectors has high prices, but they will dicker like the best episode of Pawn Stars. I tell you, you can get a $2,000 gun for 1,400 bucks if they're feeling it. I think it's just part of the fun. It took me a while to realize that too, because a lot of gun shops aren't really willing to dicker. Bingo. So are they Mormon? Because they always have a lot of kids, and I say that because my family's Mormon. Oh yes, the ex snipers. That they yeah. Let's yeah. Sierra. Jokes were made. I still kind of wish I had it, but I don't regret selling it because there was a time. I mean, Johnsons were expensive, but man, they shot up in price a couple of years ago, and bye bye, it went. It was a neat gun, but it wasn't that neat. Brendan, yeah, the outside critters are nice now. When we tried to do this back in July, they were literally deafening, but yeah, they're starting to peter out now. We hit October. Bingo. Which Lottie did they have? Swedish, Finnish? What were they asking? Detective John? Is there any benefit to a Hellion over an Og? This is that point in the video where I have to say if you could make donations, that would make my wife happy. Or my cat, or whatever the hell works. Or Bigfoot, who's probably out in the woods pooping and watching me. Um, I don't know. I mean, let me think here. Benefit of the Hellion over there. I've always thought the adjustable length of pull is nice on the Hellion. Despite the jokes people make, it is actually useful, to me anyway. I think the charging handle is better on the Hellion. It's truly ambidextrous, whereas it's not on the AUG, and easy to use. The Hellion has more Picatinny rail on top, and it comes with iron sights that are pretty decent as a default. Um, the Hellion trigger is probably a little better than the AUG trigger, but don't get too excited. The updated Hellion safety I would rate a little better than the AUG safety. And finally, if it matters, you can replace the pistol grip on the Hellion with other AR pistol grips and the forearms modular. So more customization options over some of the AUGs. But of course, there are downsides too. But you ask if there's any benefit, so there you go. Brown coat. I have an LC and an L. I really considered keeping the LVS we did a video on a couple of years ago, but in the end, just didn't. I'll probably just stick with the couple I've got, but you never know. I definitely think the LC is the most interesting, but the LVS is pretty neat too. Brendan. Yeah, and even then, I think there are some like size requirements on antique pistols, right? Speaking of, in that batch of guns I picked up yesterday, there was an old Italian Bodio revolver. I don't know why, but I have a soft spot in my soul for those old Bodios. Even came with a holster and like 8 rounds of ammo, not six, but eight. I don't know. Mainly 7.62. You're not wrong on the Dracos. Yeah, like a straight just Romanian Draco import, cool. But there's been a lot of other guns using that name, but it's not too hard to tell the good from the bad. So just don't get in too in much of a hurry. And if you find a good deal, just take 5 minutes and examine markings. You'll figure it out. AD. Where in the world am I? In the Ozark Mountains at the moment. Kind of, well, literally in the mountains and kind of on one. Not exactly on the top, but the peak of the mountain is maybe 10 minutes up from me if I were to run up the mountain. Bingo! Finish. So, what were they asking for the finish, Letty? Sierra, let's see, what am I here? Grand. The Grand was a better rifle compared to, did I miss something? Bingo, finish. Maybe 7.62. There was a milled mini jack pistol. Fox still has one. We had one in for review, and he still has it. Bingo, I hate to tell you, just the gun, if they wanted just under three, that's kind of fair. There's a lot of variables that go into them, especially, which batch, because they're made in series. But let's say you said just under three, let's say 29. If you could get them down to 26, that's about as cheap as finished lotties. Here's the thing. Finland only made like 9,000 of those total. You can imagine how many still live in the world today. There's only a handful in the whole world of true Finnish lotties. So yeah, they're pretty rare, man. Hey, Tusk, I really appreciate it. Again, my music thing has been super boring. I need more time to myself. I have this bad propensity to do some kind of work. I need to. I need to do that. It's one reason I should probably have some drinks tonight. That usually I listen to music when I drink, and I haven't drank in like 6 months. I know it's sad. I think the last time I did, I think there was some Counting Crows going on. Uh, Maybe a little G World just for old time's sake. The early albums. Not to be too corny on that, but drinking enjoyment. I do have some classical I like listening to, just instrumental stuff. Um, there's always some David Bowie that gets played at one point in the night. And there's one I'm forgetting that I mostly was listening to back then. What was it? When I'm in the mood, Queen hits. Good. Sometimes I'm in a Bob Seger mood, especially out here in the mountains. It's kind of just feels right. Yeah. Hang on to my head thinking. Ben Folds, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I actually listened to Ben Folds' album First time I listened just a straight through album in a while, but I love piano and strings, and so it kind of makes sense with Binfield's. The cutie barrel on the Og is really good, and it's actually useful. And if they do make the 9 mil kits and you can get one, it's a lot of fun. So I agree. That is one benefit of the Og is the cutie barrel, full show. In fact, it's about the only gun I have spare barrels for because most other guns that advertise as being cutie, it's more of a theory than a reality. Brendan, yeah, green. Coming to America and coming to visit America is easy. Staying here long term, more than 3 months, maybe six, guys, it's not as easy as some make it out to be. It really isn't. Manly 762, probably dubstep. Nah, I'm not a dubstep person. I will say that. Og is the classic. It is the bullpup, and it's hard to say. Put it like this: I own two Ogs, an A1 and A3. I own one Hellion, the 20 incher. I'm cool with that. I don't ever see. I'm really impressed with the Hellion, only because I didn't expect a whole lot out of it, which is usually a good recipe for me liking something, and so I have a lot of fun with it. But I think what really won me over with that was doing the 20 inch version, though. That grenade ring just looks awesome on that barrel. Taxes talk, bleh, taxes. I've always thought that was an interesting a theory I've had, kind of half joking, half not, about the whole immigration thing. Please, let's not get into politics. My head's already hurting enough. But hey, if someone wants to be in America, serve in the military for a while, you're a citizen, man, or at least a green card holder. I figure if you're willing to put yourself on the line and give your heart, soul, and mind to the country for 2 years or whatever time period, you've earned the right to be in America. So that's my solution, is either kick you back to wherever you came from or serve in the military. Of course, I had that thought back when we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and but that's one way. Brandon, I got you on the size thing. Yeah, I knew there were size things, but I didn't know. What's the line for antiques? What's the age? Scott, where to get an M1 carbine receiver? Maybe. I can't remember. I feel like someone might have mentioned it. Yeah, but yeah, that's gonna be hard. Is your gun particularly valuable? Like, is it a particularly rare barrel or something? Because a lot of the value is the receiver in a carbine. Sierra. Oh, the Johnson. Yeah, the M1 Grand versus the Johnson. I did a whole video on it. The one amazing part is the M1 Grand was introduced in '36, and it took them about 5 years, a whole team at Springfield, to get it working right. You know, the Johnson, Melvin Johnson just made that on his own and made the factory on his own. It's amazing that he was able to make a pretty good rifle with as few resources as he had at his disposal. So I think I like the story of the Johnson rifle more than I like the rifle itself. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Melvin Johnson worked for Armalite in the early days. That's the exact reason why the rotating multi-lug bolt is in the AR-10, AR-15. It was not Stoner who introduced that bolt locking system. It was actually Melvin Johnson. His Apollo 100. I remember the champions. I had a champion 2007 with the 223. Yeah, kind of one I wish I hadn't sold. Brandon. Yeah, he's talking about the L-35 Lottie. We did have some L-39 anti-tank rifles, but they were deactivated. Numeric had them. Yeah, I think you're right. You might just be able to find kind of a junked out USGI, otherwise Fulton. I think that's maybe what I was thinking of a minute ago. Fulton's an interesting place. Bingo. Yeah, bingo. I'm halfway tempted to go grab some. Brandon. Yeah, people always talk about like Russians drinking. They don't realize how much fucking Canadians drink. Yeah, hotel room is the problem with me, bingo. I like being places, but I like having my stuff and comfort where I know where I'm at. So I feel you. It's even weirder when you're in a foreign country. I like being in foreign countries, but when you're in a room at night, no one to call, it can be something. I'm glad I picked a good time. I was just, like I said, I had company here, and I thought they might be here till 9 or 10 later, and they weren't. So it's like, hey, what am I gonna do? Why not? Pit bike racing. I'm glad you like the videos. Brown coat. No, I know I haven't. Yeah, foreign language films are hard for me because you can't read subtitles. Skinwalker. No, the August is a very reliable gun. Yeah, it just doesn't give troubles. Let you know if I sell a used 20 shooter, you mean like a Hellion? I just have the one Hellion 20 inch, and I don't think I'm gonna sell it. Yeah, Brandon, they don't like it if you try to enlist if your eyes don't work so good. On the other hand, at least you don't get accused of being a draft dodger. Okay, so your antique's the same as ours. Yeah, there's not a question. Does the design have to be pre 1899 or the actual manufacturer of the gun before 1899? Scott 79. I got you, Scott. Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's really worth on your gun. I don't know, man. I wish. I'm just afraid you're going to get into it deeper than it's worth, and it's still going to be a pile. Manly 762. No, I mean I'm not back at my place. I don't believe I have a single cell of the decon. Don't believe so. Brandon. Oof. Yeah, on the Mauser. Oof. Tusk. Big Melvin. I think that's the name of the Sasquatch over in the woods pooping and watching me. He literally takes the longest poops in the world. Yeah. In fact, some Canadians were once kind of Russians or Ukrainians. Who cares? I've done a whole video on Wasser 1063s. Again, the long and the short, typically Wasser 10s were new production parts. 1063s were rebuilt original service guns. You had a semi-automatic receiver and a new barrel, but then trunnion, bolt, all that were from original guns. The 1063s could have a little more slipshod QC, but I still think they're cooler. Brendan. I like pierogies. Pierogies are good. Yep, I don't know why. I'm sure there is a very perfectly. I'm sure there is a reason for the intake cutoff, but I don't know off the top of my head. Oh, Sierra, yeah, the VHS one, we'll call it. I don't know how many of those are ever made. And see, that's the thing. It's one thing to get a factory to make a semi-automatic variant for us, using a lot of the parts they're doing for their military guns, but to have them make an out-of-date version with unique part, they're not going to do it. And a lot of them look at us like we're fucking stupid because they're like, well, that's a. They'd be like saying, yeah, give me the older version of Windows, that doesn't have all the bug fixes or whatever. It just wouldn't make sense to them. Bingo. You recently fell prey to your addiction, bingo. For shame, for shame. Yeah, the 13-inch Rock and Lock. Yeah, I still have my Rock and Lock 8.5-inch. I like it because I don't have a micro galil, so it kind of fills that niche. Okay, I got you. I thought you said that Life Aquatic was had Portuguese. I got you. Just all I'm reading, Tusk, is you want to bang Bill Murray. Is that correct? Stefan. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, rewelds. I mean, I think it's kind of what you find. Those things aren't really available in the primary markets. It's like you can just snap your fingers. I'd kind of go with whichever one you find first is a good deal. Frankly, whatever fits. If that makes sense. I got you. Thanks for the info, Brandon. I don't know a whole lot about Canadian laws, but you know, the devil's always in the details. American gun laws included. I just heard someone shoot a gun off in the far off in the mountains, not near here. How much you gonna bet I get blamed for that by some neighbor tomorrow? Sorry, Tusk. A bond company still okay. I think we're talking about aquatic. Brown coat. Who doesn't want to bang Bill Murray? I don't know. Bingo. I was trying to enable you on that Lottie. I mean, I wish I could see it, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a horrible price if you could get them closer to 2,500, 2,600. Kingdom of Vinland. Hi. How you doing? Hello there. Brown coat. Yeah, I usually get blamed often. Sometimes it's not even my fault, believe it or not. Occasionally. Kingdom, I don't think. I think PSA. No, I wouldn't hold out hope of a cheap 545 PSA. I really wouldn't. Yeah, the Galil SAR, the 13 incher, really stayed in IDF service much longer than any other version because they were used by tank crews. It's just a solid little gun, and it was used as a PDW effectively. So, yeah, why not? Brandon, exactly. Yeah, Kingdom of Inland. Man, I just don't know that people are going to get into 545 guns because where's the money? There's not even enough ammo in this country to supply the guns that are already out there. Yeah, that 12, 13-inch length barrel for just a carbine for not, super long range shot seems to really work well for the Kalashnikov system. I haven't seen a lot of Trailer Park Boys Tusk. I have seen some, but not a whole lot. Keep in mind, I grew up in rural Arkansas. Sometimes shows like that hit a little too close to home. Yeah, yeah, I don't know what that was. You never know. It could also be someone shooting a coyote, getting after their chickens and stuff like that. That can happen too. Bingo. Well, what you can do, bingo, is let me know the serial number, and that tells a lot about like which series it's from, and there's other little things you can look for. Yeah, yeah, Sierra, and here's what happens with the 74 guns, the 545 guns. You get on the internet and everyone says, "Oh, we're gonna buy one. Oh, if so and so makes one or imports one or what?" Yeah, and then they never do. Every frickin' time a company antes up and brings a 545 gun to market after the initial little bloop, they just sit on shelves. They just sit. People are so much more talk than action when it comes to purchasing those. Kingdom of Inland. I don't think the Israeli government's phasing out the Devor. Not unless. Clue me in a bit. See what we're talking about. If you're talking about the reports of them switching to the M4 carbine, they were incorrect reporting. In fact, there was actually retraction printed. Yeah, Brandon, exactly. Yeah, some shows are a little too close to home for. Yeah, but Kingdom of Inland, there was actually, if you're talking about the report that was a couple of years ago, that was came out of Israel, they actually printed a retraction slash clarification in that newspaper, and it was that yeah, they were getting import carbines, but they were only to supplement, not replace. In fact, they were very express. Now the Tavor, the full size, those have been in second line use for a long time, so I could see those as they get worn out being phased out. But like the X95, unless something's changed in recent years, which I don't think so because of everything going on with Israel, I would imagine they need all the guns they got. Now those M4s were just supplementary purchases, not replacements. To us, the reason that Magpul makes 545 and not 556 is there is a standard 545 mag. There is not a standard 556 AK mag. You've got ones that'll work in other guns sometimes, but not always. There's not a standard, and that's probably why they're not worrying with it. Brandon, I don't know if this is the loudest, but I think one of the loudest that comes to mind off the top of my head, a Steyr Mannlicher 95 carbine, or one of the Stutzen, the little short 20-inch guns with that big 8 mil cartridge. It's a pretty big boom. Yeah, exactly. And the thing about the Arsenal 104s, they sit on shelves. They were good guns, nothing wrong with them at all, and they sat. And if people didn't want that, there's nothing America could do that would be effectively better. Gotcha. Yeah, that's like I said, that seemed like a pretty good price, Bingo. So I'm not shocked. Like I said, a little room for negotiation, but the last one I saw went for about 3, and it was on the finish. Even before the 545 Lack Kingdom, 545 guns set more than you'd think. Sierra. I mean, Israel might want to move to other guns, but will they do it? A lot of things are wanted to happen or planned to happen. Some happen, some don't. Brandon. No, I've never seen the 226 clone in Tokarev. Tusk. Your bum is on the Swedish. Okie dokie. Oh, time flies. It's already 10:15. Oh, oh yeah. I guess I'll get up and I go pour myself a drink. If I don't do it, yeah, who ever thought getting started drinking would be a thing? Welcome to getting old. But yeah, if anyone can toss in some bucks, we've had a couple of helps tonight. But a little more would sure help. And I'll answer the question from earlier about Star Trek. Why not make a secondary video on the other channel? But man, there's so many series now. What's funny is people say, "Oh, I don't like new Star Trek. I like the old." Now there's probably as many quote unquote new. But of course, what made a series back in the day was, you know, 3, 4 seasons, but you had a minimum like 80 episodes, and some of them had up to 200. Nowadays, a series can be like 20 episodes, so it kind of almost feels what I would consider a mini series. But kind of thinking about the originals. Oh wait, Miss Peanut needs me. Priorities. What is it, good girl? Yes, yes. Hello, hello. How are things in Peanut Land? Hmm. How are things? Things are great. What was I saying? Oh, but yeah, the originals. A lot of people give love to the TOS, and it is the true definition of a classic. But let's be honest, it's not the best. It's not. But you have to start somewhere, and it's definitely a victim of its day and time. It's like some reason I like it, and some of the same ways I like the original Batman, the Adam West. Yes, Peanut. There's some '60s camp that's just endearing. Beep beep. Getting some stuff out though. laundry because I need a rag. Do, 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 do. And that is still wet. I need to do that a little more. Okay. Yes, I am domestic. Oh, you hush up. It wants me to. I think this thing is obsessed with me changing the lint trap. It's like I just did it. It's changed. Shut up. So yeah, the original. It's good, but yeah, TNG. We think of it as awesome, but what happens when you have something with so many seasons and episodes? We forget about the doldrums and only remember the highlights. And of course, the first season is meh. So I really like it. I think what's best about TNG. Did my wife give me bottles that need a bottle opener? I'm sitting here trying to do a bottle off this. Thought she gave me twist offs. Do I not have a bottle opener? Peanut, I didn't ask for your opinion. There's another one here. You're getting everything tonight. But anyway, so yeah, TNG, when it was good, it was really good. But I think really what people love about it, and rightfully so, were the characters. Moving on to Voyager, man, what a potential! That the idea of doing a Lost in Space, a grittier show. Luckily, it turned into Battlestar Galactica, and I enjoy Voyager. All right, the actors seem like nice people, but yes, these are not twist offs. Yes, Peanut, I know they're not twist offs now. I realize this. Maybe we won't drink tonight, Cat. Bottle opener. So yeah, this is when I should have brought a Galil out. So yeah, I just see a lot of missed opportunities with Voyager, and it way played it too safe, especially after some initial things. So as boring as it is today, I'd say Deep Space Nine is the clear, just objectively best of the original Star Treks. It had developed characters. It started off pretty strong. It got better. Characters were good. Wait, I think I found a bottle opener. It's a can opener that might work as a bottle opener too. Is that bent? We're going to find out. Peanut, will this work as a bottle opener? By the way, Peanut, your food has my fridge smelling like cat food. Yes, I know, Cat. We're trying it. Yes! So a can opener that apparently doubles as a bottle opener. Who knew? Now, why do I have a can opener out here? It was actually the first thing I brought out. Now, here's the fun thing. That was just opening up the fucking ginger out for the vodka. If we're going to drink, we're going to drink. By the way, if anyone wants to pay me to drink, that'd be great too. Alrighty. This here is a gallon of Manapalava, which we used to call Manapa blah 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 in college, because it's tater vodka, and I like tater vodka. And it's relatively cheap. So, win-win. God damn, that is a cold ass bottle. My freezer works awesome. Good, it's not frozen solid. I have actually frozen a bottle of vodka solid before. It can be done. Quit nagging me, Peanut. I'm drinking. So there you go. Our rankings. I would reluctantly put probably Voyager at the low spot, then TOS, and there's a cap. I was sitting here trying to pour, guys, and there's like a plastic cap inside. Fantastic. Starting off great. It's been an interesting night. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, and there's also Enterprise, which is kind of that last of the old, I guess. I have a weird thing with Enterprise. I really like it, even though I know it's not that good, especially the first couple of seasons. Part of it is kind of always had a man crush on Scott Bakula, and I'm not ashamed of that. And there was a lot of potential in that show. Jeffrey Combs got a lot to do. I mean, you can't hate on that, right? And I think season 4, even season 3, but definitely season 4, showed that the show could be good. It needed more time. Like all the other Star Treks had time to find their footing, and it was on track. You know, GNG season 1 was kind of me. Season 2 had goods and bads, and the same thing for Enterprise. Season 3 it found its own. In season 4 it found a balancing point, and was actually a legit good show. And then it got axed. So, yeah, what do you do? Alright. When did that ginger ale taste like pine saw? I might have just drank pine saw, guys. There was a possibility. Anyway, vodka away. Would you believe that was the first drink I've ever had at the cabin? I keep trying to do it, meaning to do it, and been too busy. So there we have it. And now I know that I at least kind of have a bottle opener. Good to know. Miss Peanut? Yes, I know. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. I'm gonna go back outside. Hopefully they donate money, because Peanut needs food. I'm holding her and she's trying to knead dough on me upright, like on my jacket, my shirt. Yes, Coco. Yes, Coco. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now do your job and kill some mice for us, okay? Or spiders. Alright. Well, that was fun. Adventures. Do, 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 do. Walking by the computer. And getting back to the swing. Ah, so how you been? Let's catch up on the chats. Give me a minute. Catching up on your chats, guys. So I'm gonna start with Brandon here. I think I scrolled up enough. Talking about Costco. Oh, shipping Chinese ammo. Yeah. Sierra. Chinese 54R won't cycle on your choke rifle. Interesting. And I'm assuming you adjust the gas system. Question: is your SVT-40 straight from Russia, or did it go through Finland? I asked that because the Finnish dinked with the gas system. Bingo! Yeah, bingo. J-Bro used to do something kind of like that, working for like local broadcasts. So yeah, back in the old tape days. I've seen every episode, not 300, but definitely more than one. My favorite line from Deep Space Nine is that there are so many good ones, from dramatic to funny. A lot of good funny ones though, and a lot of stuff between Quark and Odo is just gold, especially with the yeah Obi-Wan being gone. As I was legitimately sad that day, like not putting airs on. I was like, man, he was just yeah. Hey Sierra, what works works. Pay me to drink. Vodka ain't cheap. It looks like Brandon retracted the message. Kingdom of Vinland. Let me think. Yeah, there was also an instrumental version of the Enterprise theme that was pretty good too. Does the old Star Trek have descriptive audio? I think some might have, but most of the stuff I listen to doesn't have descriptive audio. So, Brandon. Oh, Jeffrey. I mean, I don't. Internet lore was he was going to be a main cast member in season 5. With all the shit he did for Star Trek, he deserved to be top billing at some point. And his, Shran was his kind of character, like morally good, but a little bit gray. And he played off Archer so well, and it's just great. Just great. And it was great to have the Andorians back. Like they were sorely missed for so many years. And I definitely like Himmer from Strange New Worlds because blind folks represent. If anyone didn't know, the actor is actually really visually impaired in real life. Yeah, Kingdom of Inland, the NX-01 refit. I've done videos on it, but now it's fully canon because they used it in Picard. So yeah, but no, I like it too. And there's that other one that Eagle Moss did. Their version, the USS Bonaventure, they did. That's kind of that in between the NX and the Connie, and both of them are really cool designs. I like a lot. I gotta admit, I actually like the ship designs from Enterprise, the Klingons, the Romulans. At first, I was kind of like, oh, they made the Federation, or rather the Starfleet ships look too modern. But upon reflection, no, they really didn't. Um, it's not going to look like something made from the 60s from wood because it's CGI. And trying to make something look retro in that sense would just come across as corny. And Josh Cade helped me with my drink. Appreciate that. Yep. Yeah, I wanted to answer the question, but sometimes when I want to give a good thought, I want to have time. And I didn't expect it to take me that long in there, but I also didn't expect my wife to trip me up with the traditional bottle taps versus twist offs. I'm fine with it. I just, at home, I've got bottle openers out here. It's funny, every time I come out here, there's always little things I need. But, who'd have thunk a can opener could do both? I was getting in there one way or another, I promise you. I really like the SVT 40. I do. It's underappreciated and underrepresented. And the Germans really liked him too. Hey, Tusk, appreciate it. I'll take another drink soon. I'm not one of those guys that's like every time you give me money, I'll drink because then I'll be sick. But I tend to pace myself about every half hour, a couple of drinks an hour keeps a good buzz going. Sinbad. Now I'm thinking of Sinbad in American Dad. Have you seen it? It's great stuff. Bingo. Yeah. Again, that casting in that show was just good. And I don't want to be one of those. But like Kira Nerys is how to do a strong female right, and yeah, yeah, and it just motherfucking Cisco. What can you say? What's great about the way it held up to like Picard and Kirk? Like Cisco was over the top, over dramatic, but in the finest tradition of Starfleet captains. Tusk, you just roasted a bone. My mind goes in several directions. None of them are family friendly. Kingdom of Vinland. AKs in space. You know what's funny? The the cartridge itself would work in space because it provides its own oxidizer and gunpowder. So a rifle cartridge would actually shoot in space. The problem is, you know, motion, the laws of all that. There would definitely be issues. Of course, lubrosity, having things heat and cold and no air to do air things, and yeah, the cycling of the gun is where you'd really hit problems. Bingo. How did my wife and I meet? One day we didn't know each other, and the next day we did. Actually, the first thing she said to me was, "Will you marry me?" Absolute 100% true story, given without any context whatsoever. I got you. Hard primers, yeah, hard primers will. I mentioned that in that VZ video. I think that wolf we had that's kind of janky and some has a bit of hard primer case, and we actually had a couple of cases recalled years ago, like 2009 for hard primers. It really can. But yeah, SVT is really cool. Entire cast of DS9. Bingo. Kingdom. What do I think of Instant Mounts Christopher Pike? I mean, I think it's easy to say it's the best Chris Pike we've ever had. I mean, the Jeff Hunt one was nothing. Now, would it have turned into something? Maybe, but I think he would have been a pretty forgettable cowboy in space type captain. Not bad at all, but just yeah. As far as the JJ films, let's be honest, that was all cut so short that it's hard to say. So, no, Anson Mount made Chris Pike a household name. Before him, and maybe the JJ films too, but no one outside of the nerds knew who Christopher Pike was. Now, that said, I bought the Cage VHS when it came out, and what was it, like 87, 88? I bought it at Ventures in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and was tickled pink with it because I thought this is neat. I knew the menagerie, but that's when you could very first get the cage, and I watched that tape a bunch on a little 12-inch combo VCR TV unit, probably out here at the cabin. Not my cabin now because it was just built, but at the original one. Skinwalker. Yeah, the Soviets meant all kinds of crazy stuff. It's awesome. And as I'm sure you know, they actually did carry a Makarov pistol on Soyuz, but it wasn't for use in space. It was for use when and if they landed in the wilderness and wolves. And that wasn't them being paranoid. That actually happened to cosmonauts. How would you like that shit? You survived being shot into space, being in space, re-entry, which is the most dangerous part, only to have your face eaten off by wolves. That is Russian as fuck. Brandon, you talking about apartheid in DS9? Oh yeah, like if you mean like the Bell riots and stuff. Yeah, there was some hard hitting stuff. Again, DS9 did race relations and all that right. Like they made it 100% clear that African Americans have been treated like shit at times in history, and they did it in a way that made you think, not feel like you were being preached to. So props to Avery Brooks for doing that right, but also moving past it by saying, look, that was then, this is now, we've learned to be better people. And I like that optimistic message. Brandon, you're absolutely right about welding in space and metals. Absolutely right. The reason I know this, a very good friend that I met at like elementary school, his dad was a literal genius level engineer, and we actually had a long discussion about guns in space years ago. So, kind of schooled by the best on that. Oh, ho, ho. I think I'm caught up, maybe. Just looking at my email real quick, make sure nothing's happening. My phone doesn't work out here, so I use Google Voice, which I have turned off right now to do the live chat, and then email. Yep. Seems like a pretty quiet night. So, anyone else want to pay me to get more drunker, and also answer questions about weird random things? Bingo. Yeah, me and my wife. Yeah, trying to think how to condense that down. Really. Eh. If you can't tell, I'm like kind of a private person, but I will say that we lived together when I worked in Russia, and then once things went awry with visas and staying in Russia at the end of '08, I had to come back here. She came over here towards the end of '09, got married, and that's yeah. Skinwalker talking plum. Yeah, the whole Soviet plum, the reason it works is because it's not trying to be plum. When like Arsenal or Palmetto State or whoever tries to do plum, they're forcing it. As a Vietnamese school teacher of mine would say, it's the color of the Barney dinosaur because she never could say purple. Not judging her, that's just she couldn't say that. So instead of trying to say purple, she'd say the color of the Barney dinosaur. Anyway, the plum wasn't meant to be plum, so it works. And I know what you're saying. It has a very kind of coarse matte texture that is very utilitarian. Bingo. Why did I go to Russia? Bingo. Interest. I first went in 2004 after having planned to go for a little bit. No one reason. I just because I could, and I was interested. And I grew up during the Cold War when that was kind of across the Iron Curtain, and then by that point you could, and I was out of college and could, so I did. Also, I wanted to get some strange. Anyway, Kingdom. As far as the Ukrainian furniture better than Xenico, maybe I don't know. Skinwalker. Interesting. So you met a Ukrainian girl who was a foreign exchange student. I'm presuming here, and you lost an SGL bringing her here. Gotcha. I had a Ukrainian live with me as a roommate who was an exchange student for a little while, but that was yeah different. Sierra, yeah, their car is unusual. Try riding in them in snow and ice with a driver who has probably not been sober since the Soviet Union. Life was interesting. Yeah, bingo. Yeah, I mean, I sometimes we just have interest and we want to do something. I mean, if you want to be exact, I was doing poli sci grad student. I was going into law school, and I realized that my life was going to be surrounded by lawyers and the political scene and all that entails. And I said, "Fuck it," and just did something crazy, and went off there and did that. Saw the world, and when I came back in late '08, yeah, things had changed a bit. Brandon, that sounds like the HD18s we have here in America now. The gun is perfect. The furniture is shit that they come with, or at least not great. Skinwalker, at a time. Bingo. No, I didn't go to school in Russia. I'd already graduated then, so I worked, taught, wrote a few articles, drank, fell in a pond while drinking vodka outside of Moscow. Got drunk in a tank over New Year's in a tank museum. Went to the Battle of Kursk, the area, the memorial there. Saw the Yuri Gagarin Memorial. Um, Went over to St. Petersburg. Traveled on trains. Realized that traveling on trains for all of our day sucks. Sierra. Yeah. I, Unfortunately, I am not a great car conversationalist. I wonder why. Kingdom. Yeah, Brandon, I did a BA in history and second in poli sci, and then I did my master's in international relations, comparative politics, and then I did law. Sierra, languages are not my strong suit, and what Russian I knew is long since gone. I just, maybe it's a visual thing, I don't know, but I never found languages something I think part of it was being self-conscious. I just always felt nervous, and like we all our brains all have strengths and weaknesses, and that just wasn't mine. My wife on the other hand speaks like five languages, so it works. Skinwalker? Yep. I like Poland though. Bingo. How does a blind man see things? He doesn't. Uh, See and saw are figures of speech. It's think how much more awkward it would be in the natural flow of speech if we didn't use that. Yeah, they're not literal. It's just how language works. There's another problem with language is speech TTS programs have to be configured for one language. Like even if you're using the same alphabet, French, Spanish, English, whatever, not to mention Cyrillic, you have to have individual speech programs, and years ago the infrastructure really just wasn't there. Yes, Sierra RS, yes. Um, like I said, WBB has stuff coming out. I can't talk about it yet. I'll let you know when I can. Um, Brandon, I'll be honest, like wheelchair accessible curves, while they're great for wheelchairs, actually suck when you're blind. Having that definitive stop drop to let you know, hey, sidewalk ends here, street begins there, is actually very useful when you're blind. Again, I don't begrudge it. I get wheelchairs, they need it. But it is, in some areas, hard to know when you're kind of off the sidewalk and on the street if it's really well integrated. Interesting you ask about a dacha in a cabin. I would say dachas tend to be a little more posh. They also almost always have a vegetable garden, and they tend to be more summer homes outside of town. So yeah, I would say more like cottage, like a summer cottage, than an actual like log cabin. But in my experience, which is limited, I haven't been to a ton, they tend to be a little more upscale than what we would think of as an American cabin. Unless it's odd, but I always think of a dacha in summer, and I think of a cabin in winter. But that's just mental perception, not anything. Hey, bingo, yeah, anytime, man. Uh, Anytime. Sierra. The thing, Sierra, is WBP has kind of earned my respect. You say you're like a former combat factory like Arsenal or Zastava. There's kind of a built-in, well, they know what they're doing. When WBP hit the scenes, I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? They earned it by making good guns. That's worth a lot to me. Funny you should mention about all the cabins in San Francisco area. It's starting to be that way out here. All the cabins are starting to be owned by millionaires from California too, because they can sweep in with the money and buy folks out. Kingdom rifles. I wish I could get. I'd love to get a Japanese Type 64, Type 89, a British, L85, French FAMAS, even though there are a few here, they're ridiculously expensive for no good reason. On the other hand, we've been really fortunate in America. We really have. Most rifles, at least European, modern, but even some, Asian ones like the Taiwanese T91, we've been able to get a semi-automatic version import or at least parts to build from. Getting older ones, that's difficult with anything because very few factories want to start up old school production lines. It just doesn't make sense. I never thought we would see Dragonovs again. That's baller. Um, yeah, even if FEG Defense is kind of a shady ass company.